All right, it's 2 p.m. in Price, Utah. It's 4 o'clock here in New York City. Folks, if we've learned anything in Democrat-ruled America, it's that when your government tells you to stop asking questions, probably time to start asking some more questions. Chris Salcedo Show starts right now. Well, good afternoon. Welcome to the Chris Salcedo Show. I'm Carl Higbie, filling in for Chris today. Here are the headlines trending across America. Another day, another hit job on President 45. Manhattan prosecutors signaling that Trump could face criminal charges now. And the Build Back broke is where Biden's new budget is headed, which it always is. The government takes your money, they light it on fire, they flush the ashes down the toilet. Nothing new there. Plus, the GOP launches a formal investigation into the sham January 6th committee. It's about time. Former Congressman Devin Nunes is also going to join to break it all down. And Trump spokeswoman Liz Harrington is standing by to expose the left's latest witch hunt on why they are so desperate to throw out Trump. But if the last 3 years has taught us anything, it's that if the government tells you something, shuts down debate, and squawks at you when you ask why, you better start asking more questions. My baseline post-COVID is just to not trust the government about anything until I have verified it for myself, which usually, ironically enough, includes listening to the very people the government tells me I shouldn't listen to. And when the so-called conspiracy theorists are proven right over and over and over again, it just keeps chipping away at the faith Americans once had in our institutions. Even after all the COVID lies and all the cover-ups, when you thought it couldn't get any worse, Jan 6, the tapes pop up. Tucker's been rolling them out all week. We've seen just the surface of the corruption on this, that even our justice system is corrupt. Even worse, just today we saw that New York prosecutors are paving the way for a likely indictment of Trump. Yeah, I know. They got him this time. We hear that every single time. This for some alleged payment to Stormy Daniels for maybe sleeping with her. I mean, honestly, I don't know. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I really don't care. This is rich, coming from the same people who worship the World Economic Forum participants as some like holy arbiter that we should listen to, while they're getting escorts flown in for their annual conference in Davos. I mean, you see my skepticism here? Look, my point is I didn't vote for Trump for spiritual advice, folks. I mean, most people didn't. We voted for the street fighter to get rid of the very thugs that are willing to use the process as the punishment. These deep state people don't care if their suits fail in court. They're throwing spaghetti at the wall. They're going to continue to do it, and they're trying to keep people they don't like out of positions they don't want them in, using the nearly unlimited resources of the state. Ask Michael Flynn. He nearly went bankrupt defending himself against the same FBI that admitted in writing before charges were levied that they didn't think he was actually lying to them. But politically convenient. They piled on charges on top of more charges on top of more charges until you have to make a plea deal because you're just out of money. Justice? This is pretty messed up. Oh, but this only applies to conservatives, of course. If you're an Antifa vandal, Kamala Harris will raise a bunch of money to bail you right out. Right. Look, folks, I believe wholeheartedly there should be some universal application and transparency for all the rules, standards, and especially the laws. Let me take January 6th garbage. That committee did more damage to our institutions, and especially to the defendants, by withholding exculpatory evidence. It's not only illegal, but the damage is done by the evidence Tucker Carlson is now airing. It's almost irreversible damage. And it's not Tucker's fault, like Mitch McConnell would have you believe.
It was a mistake, in my view, for Fox News to depict this in a way that's completely at variance with what our chief law enforcement official here at the Capitol thinks.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure that's what you think. It's McConnell and the Uniparty's fault. It's Nancy Pelosi's fault. And everyone on the January 6th committee, you guys are making people like me not trust our government. It's not conservative media doing it. It's you, Chuck Schumer, and people like you. And the Biden administration, they double down. They think we're like stupid or something. They will literally lie to us and say, oh, don't believe your own eyes and don't believe your own ears. Listen to us, the great moral overlords. And then they're going to trot out Karine-Jean Pierre, the super diverse White House press secretary out there, and lecture us on why our lives are somehow better through a bunch of lies, trying to distract us from the dumpster fire right behind her. Don't believe a word coming out of her mouth.
economy over the last 30 minutes here. That's why the president, we believe, has an economic plan, and it's been proven by the data that grows the economy from the bottom up, middle out. The president is not afraid of China. Did you see the president last week when we went to Ukraine, went to Kyiv? This is not a president that's afraid of anything. Because of the work that this president has done, because of what we've done specifically on fentanyl at the border, it's at historic lows, historic levels. We've also coordinated, made sure that we're coordinated our relationship with Mexico to deal with what we're seeing as it relates to violence, as it relates to cartel.
I don't believe a word that's coming out of her mouth, because she represents the machine that has had the worst record of governance likely ever. Instead of fixing the problem, they just lie more. Mask work, whoops, turns out they don't. Shutdowns are the best option. Oh, sorry, we ruined 3 years of your kid's education. Oh, well, water under the bridge, but if you're mad about it, we're going to sick the FBI on you and call you a domestic terrorist. Then Biden comes out and says, oh, I'm finally getting us out of Afghanistan. And when you have people clinging to the wheel wells of our cargo planes, executed by the Taliban, and American service members getting killed, they say, well, actually, we were just following Trump's plan. It's not our fault at all. Then they'll deny that they were ever warned by the military that the withdrawal would be a disaster, because, of course, you could never prove that. Oh, yeah, and the party that doesn't want you and me to have AR-15s, that party handed over Apaches, night vision goggles, miniguns, a litany of other things to the Taliban. I mean, spare me from John Kerry trying to spin this, or John Kirby trying to spin this one. You see why I don't trust these people? They appoint people also to run agencies that are blatantly not qualified for the job. It's worth noting that diversity is not a qualification, Pete Buttigieg. The dude couldn't fix a pothole when he was mayor, and everyone is somehow surprised that they botch a major chemical rail spill by lighting a World War I chemical weapon on fire to the extent that a mushroom cloud could be seen from space. And then they tell everyone, it's safe. Go on home, folks. Oh, your dog died and after throwing up and bleeding out of its eyes? He was probably just old. Nothing to see here. Yeah, and the water in Flint, Michigan is safe to drink. This is the garbage they feed us. And again, when we raise our hand and say, hey, wait a darn minute here, something seems wrong, they shout us down. They call us tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists. Happen to be like 64-0 during this administration right now. But don't you dare say that on social media, because some independent government-approved fact-checker will shut down your account. Oh, no, the government's not influencing social media companies. Oh, really? Turns out they are. Make it 65-0 for conspiracy theorists, but who's counting? And then they can't fact-check you. So the same government who is doing exactly what they say they aren't doing on social media will go out and use groups like the Southern Poverty Law Center as their source. They'll call anyone who doesn't espouse their views as domestic terrorists and racist. And then when one of that group's own attorneys is arrested for actual domestic terrorism after firebombing a police training facility in Atlanta, nothing to see here, folks. But when people get mad enough to start voting these people out of office, like we just saw with Lori Lightfoot, apparently then you're all racist, sexist, istophobic, phobophobes. Remember Georgia? Hey, we want to make sure we know who's voting. Voter ID, novel concept, right? Stacey Abrams, whatever she was, this president of Earth, comes out and says, nope, you can't have this. This is voter suppression. Then more people than ever before voted in that election. These people are all frauds, and they think we're stupid. This is some third world banana republic garbage. This is the criminalization of politics. Deep state, unelected bureaucrats who control your tax dollars. They're wielding them against you, against your values, against anybody who agrees with you. Now they're going to hire 89,000 more IRS agents to finish what Lois Lerner started by selectively auditing anyone who threatens their power. And when their back is against the wall, they'll declare an emergency, implement long-term solutions for short-term problems, circumventing law, process, or whatever through fear. And the biggest problem is that the people who work for us, our representatives and government, the employees whose salary are paid by our hard-earned tax dollars, they can lie to us until the cows come home, while simultaneously demanding answers for whatever the flavor of the week is from you and I. But if we lie to them, it's a felony. The government should work hard to keep our trust. We're not subjects. We're citizens. If you're mad, you have every right to be. I know I am. Well, still ahead on the Chris Salcedo Show, what video? The chair of the sham January 6th committee says they never even bothered to look at the surveillance video. I mean, it shouldn't be surprised at this point. Spokesman for former President Trump, Liz Harrington, is here to react live. And the House has just joined the Senate in passing a bill that seeks to declassify all U.S. intel on the origins of COVID. But is Biden going to sign it? Plus, Biden whispers and laughs as he talks about the 87,000 IRS agents I just mentioned. He wants to unleash them on the rest of the country. All that and more coming up right here on Newsmax.